A very, very exciting upcoming game from Square Enix, Final Fantasy VII. And we're going to share some new news with you all today.
What is that, Mike?
With our
tantalizing?
Some tantalizing news.
It's a lot more. She has a lot more news than we do.
She has a lot more news. She's taking care of a lot of our news. Well, her hands are much smaller, so...
Everything looks big in those hands. Moving on.
Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about it with our friend Max here, who's finally back after a long hiatus.
And maybe will not be back that much after.
What? It's okay, don't worry about it. She's our guest this week.
That's right.
So, Final Fantasy VII has finally revealed what their whole episodic content is going to be about.
Explain, Mike.
It's not going to be episodic. They want to follow more of the blueprint of Final Fantasy XIII. Okay, now what they did with Final Fantasy XIII is they released Final Fantasy XIII. Bet you didn't see that one coming, eh? And then they released Final Fantasy XIII 2, which is what happens after 13. And then they released some weird, messed up game called Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns.
Right.
Which was a fantastic game.
Which apparently is the best out of all three.
Out of all three, yeah. In my opinion, it is anyway.
Well, it has the best battle system.
Hands down.
Like, it evolved from 13, and they improved it, they reinvented it.
Oh, yeah. A big time.
Yeah.
It was a huge improvement.
Very good.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so what they're doing with Final Fantasy VII is because they're fully aware. I mean, okay, look, at this point, the only chance that they have to ever beat the Final Fantasy VII sales record of 11 million copies is that 15 does such a phenomenal job that they sell more than that. But to this day, they still haven't sold a Final Fantasy game more than Final Fantasy VII.
That's right.
So they know what the power of this intellectual property is. They know the power of Final Fantasy VII. They made a movie, and people ate it up. They made a little shitty PSP game. It was the best-selling PSP game ever. You know what I mean? Like, it is quite literally the most powerful IP that they've ever done.
So they finally did the smart thing.
Like, and they're like, we're going to milk the crap out of
it. Let's milk it finally. So, yes. But, anyways, we'll talk about it later, but continue your point there.
So my speculation here, okay, is, now we're going to get into a little bit of speculation, is that I'm thinking what they might do is that they're going to release Final Fantasy, the beginning era, okay, but not first. They're going to put like a Quentin Tarantino on us and release them in like weird chronological orders. Okay, so they might do Final Fantasy VII, the one that we all know and love, okay, as a remake, which is what all the footage that we've been seeing so far.
The full game, you mean the full Final Fantasy VII?
The full Final Fantasy VII game.
Okay.
But what do you mean? Like, it's not episodic, so are they gonna add levels? Are they gonna add...
So that's the thing, Max. So this is what we thought originally. We thought that they were gonna split the game up into 3 parts, but it was the one game into 3 parts.
Yeah.
That's what we thought originally. So it's more like now apparently what they've disclosed is they're gonna split up the story entirely.
The history of the entire
Final
story.
Fantasy VII. Let's say like the stuff with Zack, which was like what happened prior to Final Fantasy VII, and then stuff that kind of happens after, like Advent Children. So they're gonna kind of split up the entire universe of Final Fantasy VII
into separate
titles. Games.
So we're gonna be looking at 3 drastically different versions of the world of Final Fantasy VII, where the characters will be recurring and will likely be playing different characters. So what I'm imagining here is that essentially we're gonna get the whole Zack and Cloud just joined Soldier, and Sephiroth is still with Soldier, and like all that before is going to be one game. Then we're going to have the story of Final Fantasy from the moment where Cloud joins... Cloyd Jones the Avalanche. Cloud joins Avalanche.
Yeah.
And then from till the end of the game, until they defeat Sephiroth. And then after another game which would essentially follow the storyline of approximately like Advent Children, or maybe what happens between the end of the game and Advent Children.
Right.
Where essentially the players are going to get to have the full story, but I think that the first game that they're going to release is going to be the original.
Well, they could, but they could even go the other route where they do basically the whole Zack story first, and they go in chronological order that way.
Do you think they would? Do you think they would lose out money if they did something like that, though? Like, if they start from, like, the prequel first?
Well, look, how well did...
Why would they? I guess, I mean, I guess people just prévoir, comment on dit ça?
Foresee?
Yeah.
Oh, foresee? Yeah, I guess people just foresee to buy the 3 of them anyway, I guess.
That's what they want.
Real Final Fantasy, like the hype that they created with the game, I could potentially see everybody buying all 3, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They're probably gonna sell kind of a bundle.
Eventually, for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Did they do that
3
with Final
games.
Fantasy 13?
Well, for like humble bundles, probably they did like get you or
For sure, like on the digital stores. But I mean, did they
Yeah.
ever release like a box set?
I don't know. That's a good question. I never actually saw one. I would have noticed it right away, but that's a good question.
Anyway, this puts all of the stresses we had about the possibility of them fucking everything up at ease, I think.
True. Well, we were worried that they were gonna do kind of like what they did with
Hitman.
Hitman, exactly. Where
Dig at us.
Oh.
Gross.
horrible.
Oh.
You know what they did?
Do you know? Yeah. Do you
They
know-
took a full game, and they're like, yeah, you could pay $80 for the full game, or you can buy $30 for the first couple of episodes, for the first couple of missions, and then we're gonna sell you mission packs, which is actually the rest of the game, for like $20 a piece.
So you kind of double your price at the end when you do that?
You're probably paying more overall at the end, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, because they didn't complete the missions yet, and there's also like this interactive thing, right? So there's like, choose who you kill in the next hit in one of the next episodes.
Yeah, but no one cares
But
about that.
nobody cares about that.
I got the game. I want to play it.
It has to have been one of their
That's it.
worst releases.
So it's not that. So that's why we're super happy now. I mean, how would you feel if somebody had like a game that you've been waiting for like 15, 17 years? What is it?
A long
A
time.
long time. I guess that's a fair assessment.
But it come out in 97, I want to say? 98? Something like that?
Maybe.
Final Fantasy VII came out in 98. Wow.
Something like that, yeah. It was really, really long time ago.
Before the bug de l'an 2000.
Pretty much. So that's how long ago it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
During the crise du verglas.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my god.
For those who don't
That's
know,
such a Quebecer thing.
yeah. So for our English-speaking fans,
From the United
from
States
the
of
United
America.
States, yes. So the crise du verglas is basically a snowstorm.
Ice storm. It was an ice storm.
Ice storm. Well, I will
The
not-
entire province
Yeah,
had a layer of ice this thick over it.
Yeah, and then
To the point where we have like these electric pylons,
yeah,
and the weight of the ice was so intense that they were collapsing all over the place. You remember that?
right. And then
So it was
people were-
causing massive blackouts.
Terrible.
It was our Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
It was Armageddon.
I remember, and my dad was a cop, and he was like clearing out houses, making sure people were like,
Not dead.
yeah, they had to actually like evacuate regions.
Yeah, because
So the police and firefighters were like evacuating regions and stuff. It was pretty crazy. Anyway,
anyways, back on.
so Final
back on
Fantasy
topic,
VII
yeah.
should be a lot. We should be pretty reassured about Final Fantasy
Yes.
VII. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, you should go check out some more right over here. If you like the cap I'm wearing, or you want to see what other TMS swag you can pick up, you should check out Manson's clothing down below. And last but not least, if you like free games, because everybody does, you should check out Gamers Giveaway down below, and they give a free game away every single week, so check that out. Thanks for watching again. Have a great one, guys.